This message is produced by truthfromgod.com, which is one of hundreds of messages that can be read, heard, and watched at truthfromgod.com. Compromise is our curse. Published in the Battle Axe, issue 118, June 1978. Without exception, history clearly shows that all compromises are only a coward's expedient way of avoiding a serious issue. By delaying the real action that could solve an issue, a compromise only reduces the pain temporarily while the disease continues to spread throughout the whole body. The day of retribution always comes, but the means of rooting out such a widespread cancer are severe. They must be ruthless, since in the final hour the life of the body is at stake and depends upon the swiftness and effectiveness of the action taken. At the approach of every problem, pigmy minds begin to speak of compromise, coalition, and concession as the only reasonable answer in order to bring about the utopia, unity. But no real answer has ever been born from such a crowd of cowards. Their line of counsel is always to avoid any mention of the problem. Ignore it and it'll go away. These problems must never be spoken of in public. Therefore, certain subjects are termed controversial and immediately become social taboos. The issue in America is a good example of such childish compromise, and if ignored any longer, will consume our nation in a flood of blood. 200 years ago, Thomas Jefferson, in the Declaration of Independence, castigated England's involvement, support, and sanction of the slave trade in America. It was the banking houses of England that totally controlled the crown then, just as their descendants, the banking houses in America, the Federal Reserve and its member banks, totally controlled the government in Washington, D.C. In the name of compromise, Mr. Jefferson was labeled a radical, and his paragraphs dealing with the cause of slavery were struck out. Even his statements about deleted from within the quotation that now appears on the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. The control of the government then was proclaiming compromise as the correct political solution and silenced all mention of as being too controversial. There was no compromise when George Washington fearlessly gave this stern warning. The more effectively against us than the enemy's armies. They are 100 times more dangerous to our liberties and the great cause we are engaged in. It is much to be lamented that each state long ago has not hunted them down as pests to society, and they are the greatest enemies we have to the happiness of America. Benjamin Franklin was no cowardly compromiser and spoke in clear terms as to how the Constitution must be constructed. The following quotation is taken from his address given before the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787. In whatever country the Jews have settled in any great number, they have lowered its moral tone, deprecated its commercial integrity, have sneered at and tried to undermine the Christian religion, have built a state within a state, and have, when opposed, tried to strangle that country to death financially. If they are not excluded from the United States by Constitution, within less than 100 years, they will stream into this country in such numbers that they will rule and destroy us and change our form of government for which we Americans have shed our blood and sacrificed life, property, and personal freedom. If the Jews are not excluded, within 200 years, our children will be working in the fields to feed them, while they remain in the counting houses, gleefully rubbing their hands. I warn you, gentlemen, if you do not exclude the Jews forever, your children's children will curse you in your graves. Their ideas are not those of America, even when they have lived among us for generations. The leopard cannot change its spots. The Jews are a danger to this land. If they are allowed to enter, they will imperil our institutions. They should be excluded by the Constitution. The Jews have made the issue of controversial so that it has been and is now totally avoided. And yet it has been used to foment all internal strife in our country. America can't survive another internal bloodletting such as the Civil War, nor will she be able to endure the continual turmoil of the 1960s and 70s. The News Party platform, the 10 Commandments, is clear and concise on the vital issues that now plague our nation, and it is the only logical, factual, realistic solution. No longer can the resolution of our nation's problems be avoided because of the lack of courage and character in its leaders. The continued existence of our great civilization is at stake. In no time will the News Party ever contemplate or consider any cowardly compromise, coalition, or concession which moves one fraction of an inch to the right or to the left of our goals. We must never pass on to our children the problems which now arise. Man's destiny depends on how you and I act. If the program of cowardly compromise continues and the real issues are never faced, then our country is lost and will never be able to rid itself of the destroying plagues that now sweep our land, and in its sickened condition will not be strong enough to survive as a free people in the future. It is imperative that we cast off the curse of compromise and withdraw all support from the cowards who propose such. Only by this action will you be able to cure our country of this curse. The future will belong only to those determined enough to possess it. The purpose of the News Party is to turn our nation into such a people. There is no other movement on earth whose goal is as great. There is no other movement on earth which is guided by the Spirit of God to establish His kingdom government on earth. There is no other movement on earth whose strength of purpose has been proven greater. The News Party is man's only hope, for we are the only ones who are preparing for the eventual day of battle with the world's Goliath. We work in dead seriousness. We're not building a flag-waving paper tiger for an afternoon's parade, but are building the army of Yahweh for the greatest battle of the ages. For only through this will victory be ours, and the kingdom of God becomes a reality. We will be joined by other inspired people who will loyally work in this greatest of all causes. The question is, will you be one of these mighty ones? Is the same burning spirit that drives us forward burning in your heart? If so, then together we can do the impossible, and victory will be ours. This message is produced by truthfromgod.com, which is one of hundreds of messages that can be read, heard, and watched at truthfromgod.com.